If you think Michael Jordan is the GOAT, hit the like button. It's your boy Ja. We back with another MJ banger, the Black Kryptonian himself. So if you appreciate this channel, subscribe, hit the notification, and let's get into it.
Michael Jordan scored 50 points or more in the playoffs 8 times, more than Kobe, KD, LeBron, and Wilt combined. Jordan also had the most 40-point playoff games, more than Kareem, AI, Steph, and D-Wade put together. In fact, MJ is the only player in NBA history who had more 40-point career games than games where he scored less than 20 points. Jordan's godlike aura, brutal trash talk, and physical dominance put fear in opponents' hearts. And while they had to get a good night's sleep before facing the Bulls, Jordan could drink and smoke cigars before the game and still drop 40. His airness made it look easy, and he proved it when the games were on the line.
Game on the line, who would take the last shot?
Me.
28 times Jordan scored the game-winning shot, including 7 game winners in the playoffs. And MJ wasn't just a scorer. He had the most first-team all-defense selections.
Which is like, I'm going to say that's not true. MJ is not as selfish as they try to portray him to be. He is a good teammate. And the teammates who won the rings who are not like salty that they weren't a star after the last dance, they understand that he just wanted to win so bad. And some of the game-winning shots wasn't him taking it. It was Kerr, Paxson. So MJ talked that, but he is a great team player and a basketball player. He going to make the play. Like, I've seen it on so many occasions where he make the right plays. Yes, he going to take the shot. He a dog. He a killer. But if the shot's not there, MJ will go to someone open to win the game. He's a winner.
Ever with 9. He's the all-time blocks leader by a guard and has the most seasons with over 200 steals, with 6. In 1989, when the Bulls lost their starting point guard, Coach Doug Collins made Jordan play the point, and he notched 10 triple-doubles in 11 games, averaging 30 points, 11 assists, and 9.5 rebounds per game. Between 1991 and 1996, MJ played 13 consecutive playoff series where he averaged more than 30 points per game, retiring with 6 rings, 5 MVPs, and a 6-0 record in the final. But despite his seemingly invincible legacy, Jordan did.
Do you know how hard it is to go 6-0? I'm thinking about my dog Pat right now. Pat is my favorite football player. And he lost to Tom Brady the first, you know what I'm saying? One of them Super Bowls. So to think about, to go flawless, and we know Tom Brady has lost the Super Bowls. So I don't think anyone has went flawless at the biggest game. I don't think not one person in any sport, Messi included, has went flawless into the biggest games or series. Like the NBA Finals is Super Bowl. I don't know what it is for soccer or football, people will call it. Baseball, the World Series. He went undefeated in the biggest game of everyone's life. Crazy, bro.
Did have some weaknesses. MJ led the NBA in field goal attempts 9 times during his 13 years in Chicago, and he was a bit of a ball hog, especially in his early career. Jordan also had some bad playoff games, and he certainly wasn't the most pleasant teammate. So, how good was Michael Jordan actually? And is he really the GOAT?
Yeah.
To answer that, we'll start with his genetics and God-given talent. Michael Jordan was supposed to be short. Nobody in his family was taller than 5'9", and as a high school sophomore, Michael was famously cut from his varsity basketball team because he was only 5'11".
It sounds sad, but it's true.
However, the Jordans were blessed with supreme athleticism. Just look at Michael's older brother Larry, who could dunk at 5'8". So, when an unexpected growth spurt pushed Michael to 6'6", he became unstoppable. By the end of his high school career, Jordan was averaging 27 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists. But despite his unreal speed and athleticism, young MJ was still an unpolished gem because he really only played 2 years of high school basketball. As a freshman at UNC, MJ averaged a modest 13 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists per game. He was the 3rd leading scorer on the team behind James Worthy and Sam Perkins, and his fundamentals, ball handling, and confidence weren't yet at a super high level. But all that changed in the 1982 NCAA Finals, when Michael hit a game-winning shot against Patrick Ewing, winning the national championship.
18. Shot, Jordan, North Carolina.
That's literally the shot that made the GOAT. And when people say GOAT, I think we use it so loosely. When I'm saying GOAT, I'm saying GOAT of everything. Like, if there's any sport in the world, like, you know what I'm saying, if we have to talk about who is the supreme athlete of all supreme athletes, the best of the best, It's MJ. I mean, he's number one on my list as far as like sports is concerned. Like, just so dominant and every aspect. He had it all. The swag with there's a combination of making a GOAT. It ain't just going on the floor and hooping. It's all those tangible things. The look. He had a look to him. It's all those things. Cause like, so for example, was it Pat's first year? I think it was Pat's first year. Patrick Mahomes' first year. This is when I first started getting into football, which is crazy because I only watch basketball, but I started getting into football and I'm like, who is this kid, bro? With the funny hair. But I'm like, yo, he has a look that could, you know what I'm saying? That is like iconic. I knew that already. When I first seen Pat, I'm like, he has an iconic look and it's different from everyone else. And then that shit starts to play out and he get 3 rings for it. I'm like, yo, I knew this shit because you could kind of see it. You could tell when people have this certain, whether it be personality, energy, look about them. It's a special look. MJ got a special look. Nobody was caring about bald people before MJ. He turned bald into like something epic. Nobody was rocking with the bald.
Won the 1982 NCAA championship.
Jordan said this was the biggest turning point of his career because after that, his confidence was through the roof.
That turned my name from Mike to Michael Jordan. It gave me the confidence.
Hit that like button. Yo, the goal in this video is 500 likes. If you like MJ, then you might as well hit the like button, right? 500 likes, man. Let's go.
That I needed to start to excel at the game of basketball.
In the next 2 seasons, Jordan continued his basketball education under Dean Smith and became a complete player. He averaged 20 points per game, was a consensus first-team All-American, and as a junior in 1984, he was named Collegiate Player of the Year. But based on his college career alone, it was hard to predict that Jordan would reach the pinnacle of the NBA. After all, many great players who came before Michael had far better college careers, including Kareem, Magic, Bird, Bill Walton, Bill Russell, Oscar Robertson, David Thompson, Pete Maravich, and a few others. Because of his relatively modest numbers in college, and because the 80s were the era of the big men, Jordan was selected 3rd in the 1984 NBA draft, behind centers Hakeem Olajuwon and Sam Bowie.
I agree. Hakeem Olajuwon should have went first or whatever before MJ because the era said that they were looking for big men. Who is this guy? I don't know because I know the Chicago Bulls was like Michael Jordan's the best basketball player we ever saw. So that it just makes sense to me because if I'm in a draft right now and I saw these big men and it's a big man era and I see MJ, I'm gonna tell whoever's in the front office, you need him, bro. He's everything in one package. He's a big man, a guard. He's everything. You're about to get a player who's everything in one.
He's only 6'6", so how much can he really do?
We wish he was 7'1", but he isn't.
However, it took just 2 practices for the Bulls coach to call the general manager and say, "You didn't mess up the draft this time."
For the first day in practice, my mentality was whoever is the team leader on that team, I'm going after him. And I'm not going to do it with my voice because I had no voice. I have to do it with the way that I play.
When the season started, it took Jordan only 3 games to score over 30 and 9 games to eclipse 40. By the end of the first month, it was obvious that Jordan was supposed to be the first overall pick. While Olajuwon looked like a star, Jordan was more like a supernova because there was nobody in the league faster than him. It seemed almost unfair how he blew past opponents with just a single step who had no answer for his drives to the basket. On top of his speed, Jordan was also the most athletic player in the NBA, with an unmatched vertical jump and hang time. When he drove to the cup, it looked like he was a fighter jet, and his quick...
I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I was wrong in the last video. Michael Jordan had the highest vert in NBA, like NBA history's combine or whatever you want to call it. He had the highest vert, bro. So now when I think about it, it's like, it just makes me think like, people say, like a lot of people from this era say like Michael Jordan was just, he was like, what we are in the future, but back then he was the only person who had the advantages. And I'm like, yo, he jumped higher than all y'all now. It's like, yo, he would whoop y'all ass. I'm not gonna lie, no matter what era, he would have whooped y'all ass, bro. He had the physical capabilities that none of y'all have. So if a nigga was like, yo, you know, that's old school. A lot of them players that was guarding MJ or they didn't have no moves. Well, MJ plays better and has more physical gifts than y'all now in this era. So I mean, he would have tortured y'all. The shit would have been a torture chamber full of just, we wouldn't even want to watch no more because it would have been so goddamn bad. He would have scored 70 a game and shit. Like, what? Because even if y'all could keep up, he's still better than everyone who ever walked into the combine. ever.
served as a runway for his vertical takeoff. When MJ raised up for a jump shot, it seemed like nobody was ever guarding him because the laws of gravity didn't seem to apply to Michael. Defenders could jump at the same time, but as they would inevitably fall down, Jordan would continue to float in the air and shoot completely unbothered.
How's the transition been from college to the NBA?
Well, I think it's been pretty easy.
Thanks to his high-flying feats and insane dunks, Jordan quickly became the most popular player in the NBA. So it only made sense that in 1986, he got voted to the All-Star game, despite playing just 3 games up to that point due to an ankle injury. And that same year, in the playoffs, he set a playoff scoring record with 63 points against Boston.
But it was an incredible playoff performance. I've never seen it before, and I had never seen it after. That wasn't Michael Jordan out there. It was God disguised as Michael Jordan.
YouTube Premium is
that was
ad-free
God.
YouTube and the YouTube Music
God.
all together.
As if MJ wasn't doing enough already, in 1987, MJ led the NBA in scoring with 37 points per game, which was and remains the 5th best scoring output ever, behind only Wilt's insane scoring feats of the early 1960s.
I just want the franchise in Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, we gotta. Yo, is it me? I'm sorry for stopping the video, but I got a lot. I got a lot on my brain. Is it me, or should we just delete Wilt Chamberlain and just put Mike up there? Because that makes no sense, bro. You're playing against Milkman. There was 7 teams, and they equate you to a person who played 82 games with all these franchises. That shit is like I heard people say Bill Russell. If y'all don't stop mentioning the names when the league had 10 teams, yeah, you could win 11 rings with 10 teams. So that's why it don't make sense when I hear this Wilt Chamberlain shit. Yo, Wilt Chamberlain scored 50. He averaged 25 rebounds. The nigga scored, like, what are you talking about? Why didn't he win rings then? Why was Bill getting all the goddamn rings then? And second, I said second. The most important thing is MJ is the best scorer to ever live, clearly. Because if y'all putting Wilt Chamberlain above him, and Wilt Chamberlain didn't even have to go through none of the gauntlet that he had to go through, like anybody, what is it, from when did they start expanding the NBA? Whenever they expanded the NBA and they got those 82 games, and you got Magic and Larry Bird and shit like that, that's what I count. That's where I start to count. Anything before that, I'm not counting, bro. I'm just not counting. Because you're not even doing the same resume. I got to do way more than you. And then they're going to count you with me. That shit don't make sense. And you're 7 feet. How many niggas were 7 feet in the NBA in 1960? It was nobody.
Respected as a team. It's very hard for something like that to happen, but it's not impossible.
Meanwhile, Jordan was miserable. Despite all the fame and individual accolades, he was always losing. In his first 3 seasons, MJ only won 1 playoff game, despite being the best player in the league. But after the Bulls GM Jerry Krause drafted Horace Grant and Scottie Pippen, his life would change forever. In 1988, MJ averaged 35 points on 54% shooting, with 6 rebounds and 6 assists, winning his first career MVP. Because he also led the NBA in steals with 3.2 plus 1.6 blocks per game, Jordan won the Defensive Player of the Year. And he is still one of only 5 players ever to win Defensive Player of the Year and MVP. And after the 1988 dunk contest against Dominique Wilkins, which is considered by many to be the best of all time, some people already started calling him the best player they have ever seen.
Y'all gotta stop. Vince Carter has the best dunk contest of all time. I love MJ. Yeah, I am MJ to the death of me. But like, we're not going to disrespect Vince Carter. Like, come on, man. This was a great dunk contest, but it wasn't creativity. Like the shit when I never seen a reverse windmill so hard. This nigga Vince Carter did a reverse windmill and just broke the building with that shit. Y'all were more in awe just because it was MJ. You know what I'm saying? I don't think the dunks were so original from his in-game dunks. You feel me? They were just more like in-game dunks. I never seen this nigga Vince Carter reverse windmill on nobody in game. These shits was shit he knew, like, yo, when I get to these dunk contests, nobody's seen these shits. Yeah, I would say this is definitely top 3 though. Top 3 dunk contests, him versus Dominique Wilkins for sure. Top 3 for sure. But I'm gonna put Zach and Aaron Gordon in there too. Because even though I know we don't like the era, this era's trash, they put on a show. And I know y'all remember that. They put on a show, bro. It was dunk after dunk after dunk. And I'm like, oh my God. I watched this nigga Zach LaVine windmill from the free throw line. I'm like, free throw line? Like, can you do that? MJ was doing free throw line dunks. This nigga Zach LaVine windmilled from there. I'm like, oh yeah, this shit's over. So it was crazy, man. MJ is, for me, he's not he's more of a bucket than a dunker, and that's why I like. And I think John Morant said that too. He don't want to dunk no more because that shit. You could get into a dunker like category, or you could do the MJ and just be a great player, but you dunk. If that makes sense.
That's got to be a 50.
But none of that mattered because the most important thing to Jordan was winning. And now with Pippen and Grant on the team, the Bulls had their first 50-win season since 1974. Chicago then finally advanced in the playoffs, winning the first round over the Cavaliers, with MJ averaging an insane 45 points per game. However, in the second round, a more experienced Pistons team defeated the Bulls pretty easily, 4-1. It was proof that individual greatness doesn't translate to playoff wins, a lesson Jordan had yet to learn. But that didn't make him any less entertaining to watch. In the 1989 season, Jordan hit his first legendary shot in the NBA, simply known as the shot.
A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win it! They win it! Set the Cleveland Cavaliers!
In the second round, the Bulls got past the Knicks, but they again fell victim to the Pistons, who bullied Jordan with their physicality. And in 1990, it was more of the same. MJ led the NBA in scoring and steals. He was super efficient, but the team couldn't get over the hump and get past the Detroit Pistons for a third consecutive year. In his first 6 years in the league, MJ had won 5 playoff series and lost 6, with an overall playoff record of 25 wins and 29 losses.
Yeah, I'm glad social media did not exist because y'all would have barbecue shish kebab Michael Jordan. A lot of these people think that, like, I'm glad it didn't exist because it gave him the chance to become the GOAT. You feel me? It gave him a chance to do that type of shit. Because a lot of these people from this era, like, if this nigga would have had 5 wins in 6 years, you know what y'all would have said about him? If he didn't have a whole career, then go 6 and y'all would have barbecue shish kebab this man. You feel me? He lost every goddamn year in the playoffs, goddamn. And he turned the corner and then never looked back. And that's dope because all the criticism would have got to him. He's human. All people are human. So when you can read that shit, in his era, he ain't read nothing. It was just newspapers and articles and shit that you don't even care about. But imagine going on your phone and scrolling up and niggas like, yo, you can't get a W, nigga. You trash. He might have went out in those games and forced certain things and tried to do certain things that he didn't have to do to prove to other people. Shit, I've seen it so many times in this era with so many people. Glad Kobe came in an era where there was no social media. A lot of the social media shit, like, it messed Bron up. It messed a lot of these people up. They just messed up. And I'm not going to sit there and hate on the person. I don't have hate in my heart. I'm just saying this shit is like, it messed up the whole era of men and generational talent. Like, it just messed everything up, bro. Because now you gotta hear people's opinion. And then even if, for me personally, I wouldn't care. I'm an NBA player making hundreds of millions of dollars. But you are human, so I feel like you would read that shit. That was very insightful to me to realize, like, yo, things played out for MJ the way they needed to. You got to go through trial and error to become great, right? You got to fail to become great. He failed. But y'all wouldn't have, and I'm going to say this to the fans out there too, y'all wouldn't have gave him no grace to fail. Y'all don't give people grace to fail. You feel me? There is no grace. You either win or win. If you fail, tough. Because I know there were a lot of Chicago fans, but a lot of people around the world was like, he's all scoring. I know that they were saying that shit. He all scoring. He ain't a teammate. And then look what happened. The nigga went crazy. He blacked out on y'all. Black Kryptonian shit.
So after that third loss to the Pistons, the media started doubting Jordan, questioning his ability to play team basketball, and wondering if he was only concerned about himself and his numbers. And in a way, they were right. In the 80s, he was often trying to score out of double or even triple teams, ignoring his wide-open teammates. In 1989, he was a capable passer, averaging a career-high 8 dimes per game. But Jordan always looked to score first and pass second. And he wasn't like Magic, Jokic, or Doncic, who manipulate defenses with their eyes and...
Don't ever mention Joker or Don. Like, what the fuck? That shit just turned me off. Don't ever mention none of these people in the breath of MJ, man. What are you talking about? He's a absolute killer. You said that for a career, he averages 6 assists, 8 assists, 6 assists. So I don't get where the passing shit is. I can't pass the bum ass teammates, bro. It's talent. Talent wins championships. Then I get Scotty. I get some players that could actually hoop, and I start winning. Yeah, but I'm not going to sit there and blame him like, oh, he was just selfish. Anyone is going to be selfish when I throw to the bum in the corner and he keep fucking breaking. Right? If I'm always fast to you niggas in your brick at all the time and I want to win so bad as MJ, I'm like, nah, I'll score 40, 50. What you need, 60, 70? Like, I'll do whatever. Because I got bums on my team. And Michael Jordan had some bums. He had some bums. I would say Bron had an earlier impact on his teams and shit like that because of like being 6'8", passing all that shit. But he didn't have the ultimate impact, which is the rings and things, the domination. He didn't have that. Because you could start off good and not end off as good, as you see right now. MJ, he didn't start off as great, but that boy, he finished. He finished.
Fake defenders into wrong coverages. Jordan's passing was more reactive. He got rid of the ball only when he saw that somebody was wide open. And since Jordan was like a black hole that sucked all the defensive attention, when he did opt to pass, it was usually for an easy dunk. But despite MJ's ridiculous scoring numbers, the Bulls' offense was always average during the 80s, and they were actually at their best in 1986, when Mike missed 80% of the season due to an ankle injury. It wasn't until 1990, the arrival of Phil Jackson.
How can your offense be better without Michael Jordan? Shut up.
And the emergence of Scottie Pippen that the Bulls' offense cracked the top 5 in the NBA. Pippen's passing and pushing the ball in the open court created lots of space for Jordan, who could finally trust someone else to make plays for him consistently. But Pippen's value was maybe even more pronounced on the defensive end. With an enormous wingspan, agility, and a motor to cover multiple players on one possession, Scottie was just what Michael was missing. Pip's presence allowed Michael to play free safety on defense, jump into passing lanes for steals, and he didn't need to waste his energy guarding the best opposing player, because Scottie usually did that. And after agonizing defeats against the Pistons, MJ decided to bulk up, which was unprecedented at the time. Players didn't spend much time in the gym, and if you look at all the players in the 80s, they looked lean, but hardly anyone was super muscular. So when MJ returned for the 1991 season, he was still super quick, athletic, and could contort his body in the air like no one else. But this time around, he was also much stronger, which allowed him to absorb contact better and bully smaller players with his size. What also helped Michael was the arrival of coaches Phil Jackson and Tex Winter, who instituted the triangle offense, which was based on cutting in open spaces and playmaking out of the post. If executed properly, the triangle was believed to be the most optimal offense to optimize spacing. MJ didn't have to bring up the ball all the time and force his shots, and he was receiving the ball closer to the basket, where he'd bully smaller defenders and dominate like never before. Even though Jordan was phenomenal from the moment he stepped into the NBA, in 1991, he was at his best, and he won his second MVP award. The 91.
All right, I'm a MJ historian. That's not true at all. 89 was his best year statistically, and that's the best statistical season of any NBA player. 1989, so go do your research, people. 1989 is the best statistical season of any basketball player to ever live. And the name is Michael Jordan. I think that's when he won the Defensive Player of the Year, right? Yeah. So, yeah, that's the best year of any player. You know what I'm saying? Especially a guard. Like, any guards, there ain't no guards like that. So, by 1991, I feel like he was more polished than just prime, the greatest MJ. I feel like he was more polished, understanding the game, where I need to be, my spots, who needs to get open. Scottie needs to have the ball to help the others. So he started understanding shit by 1991. Like, all right, this is how we gonna win, and then that shit started working.
Bulls had the best offense in the NBA, and they crushed the opposition in the Eastern Conference. They swept the Knicks, beat the 76ers in 5, and then finally got their revenge against the Pistons. This time, it wasn't even close, as Detroit was on the decline after 3 straight NBA Finals trips, while the Bulls were ascending. MJ swept Isaiah and the Pistons, who famously left before the final buzzer of Game 4, refusing to shake the Bulls' hands.
We finally got over the hump of the loser's mentality. We were starting to become a winning franchise. And, the sky was the limit.
But in the NBA Finals, another legend awaited, Magic Johnson. And it seemed like the 5-time NBA champion still had the upper hand when the Lakers defeated the Bulls at home in Game 1. That is, until Phil Jackson made the adjustment to have Pippen guard Magic, which turned the series around. And in Game 2, Jordan dazzled the world with another iconic move, switching hands mid-air to score an acrobatic layup.
Oh, a spectacular move by Michael Jordan.
The Bulls won the next 4 games, and at last, the championship. Jordan's hunger for an NBA ring was finally satisfied. Throughout the playoffs, MJ averaged 31 points, 8.5 assists, 6.5 rebounds, 2.5 steals, and 1.5 blocks, shooting a career-high 56% from the field.
Jordan is the most talented player in the NBA, by far.
And the 1992 season was a continuation of peak form for Jordan and the Bulls.
What if I told Magic 40 years later he'd be the most talented person we've ever saw with a basketball in his hand, ever? I'm putting him, Kyrie Irving. Those are the two niggas I would say are the most talented basketball players I've ever seen in my life. Him and Kyrie Irving. I can't say Kobe. I know y'all want me to Kobe. Kobe just watched a hell of a lot of MJ tape. And then just mimicked everything he saw. So it's not really talent. It's just me. I'm a copycat. And I don't mean to say it like that, but yeah, it wasn't nothing too original about Kobe Bryant, man. Everything stemmed from Jordan. One thing about Jordan and I would say Kyrie Irving, the creativity on the floor, the shit that they willing to do, the shots they willing to take. This nigga Kyrie Irving took a jump floating hook with the left hand over Joker for a winner. Nigga, only MJ would do some shit like that. Only those type of, you know, those creators. I would say that, yeah. The most talented players I've ever seen is Michael Jordan and Kyrie Irving. A lot of people gonna go crazy with the Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving, he not 7'8". Like, no, that's the problem. That's what I'm trying to say. He's 6 feet and this good. Maybe Steph Curry too. Steph Curry is super talented with them threes. Like, you know what I'm saying? That nigga's beyond talent. So I say those are like what I mean by talent, not brute force. LeBron's more running through niggas and throwing the ball. Magic Johnson throwing the ball, but I'm talking about pure just creativity, man. Make you jump out your seat, nigga. Hold your seat. Oh my, hold your hands. I don't know. That's what MJ bring to the table. He bring that winner mentality. And that's why they call Patrick Mahomes MJ of the NFL, because they bring winner mentality. I have to win at all costs. I will do anything to win. But then they have that creativity, that talent, that shit that make you want like, oh my God. Yeah, so MJ, you the GOAT, man.
Another scoring title with super efficient shooting, first team all defense, and another MVP for his airness. The Bulls once again had the best offense in the NBA and won a franchise record 67 games. Chicago reached the finals against the Trailblazers, and the media pushed the narrative that Clyde Drexler was better than Jordan, because Jordan is not a good outside shooter. So MJ responded by nailing 6 threes and 35 points in the first half of Game 1, which was a finals record for both threes and points in a half, in what will forever be remembered as the Shrug Game. And even though Portland tied the series at 2 apiece, the Bulls were just too good, and they won the series in 6, with MJ averaging 36 points in the finals. After the second finals and the Dream Team experience in Barcelona...
Are y'all seeing these numbers from 45, 36, 35, 40, 45? Like, what the... This thing has alien-like scoring numbers. Alien-like. We don't even see that now. Like, we don't see that now at all. We see, like, big triple-doubles. You see Luka with the big triple-doubles, but we talking 45-point average. So that nigga was scoring 60, nigga try to drop a 30, and then, you know, maybe a 40. And like, it's crazy, his averages, bro. Crazy.
Pippen and Jordan came into the 93 season with an empty tank. The Bulls weren't as dominant in the regular season. But even though he was tired, MJ still led the NBA in scoring, which was his 7th scoring title in a row. And he also led the league in steals. Chicago made it to a 3rd consecutive finals, where they faced league MVP Charles Barkley and the Phoenix Suns, the best team in the regular season. Barkley was also the best player on the Dream Team, and when he won the MVP, many people believed that he could be an even better player than Michael, which pissed off Jordan. But because of the Suns' inexperience and Barkley's nasty elbow injury, the Bulls won the first 2 games on the road, and it seemed like it would be smooth sailing to the next title. However, the Suns weren't going away that easily. They won games 3 and 5 in Chicago, and they could have won game 4 too, if it wasn't for Jordan.
That motherfucker would not let me win that game.
Who buried the Suns with 55 points,
he said that
the second highest
55,
score.
That's what I'm trying to say. Michael Jordan so determined to win, he would just up it. If it was 30, it's not enough. All right, fuck it, me go up. 45, not enough. Up. And that's why his Charles Barkley, like, this nigga would not let me win. And he's clearly showing you that. Like, I will do anything to get the W.
Scoring game in NBA Finals history.
And Michael just outplayed me. That was probably the first time in my life that I felt like there was a better basketball player in the world than me, to be honest with you.
After 5 games, it was 3-2 for the Bulls, but the remaining 2 games were to be played in Arizona. In Game 6, the Suns had the lead throughout the 4th quarter, but Jordan kept the Bulls in the game. and everybody expected Jordan to take the final shot to tie the game. But MJ wasn't the same stubborn player as before, and he gave up the ball early to set up an open shot for John Paxson. That was it. A three-peat, and MJ's legacy was set. Jordan finished the '93 finals with averages of 41, 8, and 6 on 51% shooting and 40% from three. And this wasn't even his best playoff series statistically. MJ was on the top of his game, and his basketball IQ, winning mentality, and physical dominance all synced in perfect harmony. Jordan showed his otherworldly ability to beat an opponent one-on-one, separate double teams, attack the rim, but also to find open teammates. If we compare the 1993 Jordan to his early NBA years, the growth was evident. When it was needed, he was pressing full court defensively. When nobody could score, he recognized it and carried the Bulls. And when he got doubled, he gave up the ball without trying to be a hero. In terms of basketball skills, Jordan was physically a much stronger player who became a master of footwork and post-up game. When he reached the desired position with his back to the basket, he'd turn and stay in the air.
It's always like some fake-ass NBA historian telling MJ what he should and shouldn't and how he should have and what he should have. The teammates, man. You don't win championships without talent. So I don't care how much MJ changed or wanted to pass more or none. That shit did not matter. Scottie Pippen mattered. Horace Grant mattered. And a bunch of other people matter. Like, you need talent to win, bro. As soon as you get the talent, then you start doing that other shit. But let's be honest, 45 points a game don't mean like he passing, big bro. That mean he scoring. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think it was MJ matured so much from 1984 where he was drafted. I don't think so. I think the talent and then the coaching. Putting him in position and then telling him like, yo, you don't got to do all that work. It made it a lot more easier for him. And then the talent level. Because the next 3P you're going to do is Dennis Rodman. You need talent on your team.
Air for what felt like an hour longer than his opponent, only to hit a patented turnaround jumper clean as a whistle. The memories of anyone doubting him were long forgotten. Everybody knew he was the best player alive, and many believed after that three-peat he was already the best of all time.
Yeah, go.
My love for this game is strong. I'm going to be here as long as my love is strong, Jordan told reporters after the finals in a champagne-soaked locker room. However, just 1 month later, his father was killed, and Jordan retired from basketball for a year and a half. The love for basketball was put on hold.
I had him for 32 years, and he taught me a lot in 32 years. You know how many kids get that opportunity? Very few. In today's society, get the chance to spend that much time with their parents and get that type of influence.
18 months.
Nah, it ain't just parents, big dog. It's your dad. I champion that. Like, it's very hard for young men, because I didn't grow up without a role that is like a pops. My dad was up in the street. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, it's crazy to think about. You know what I'm saying too? And I want to push that narrative, not parents, not two teams. I'm talking about the dad, like his father. Like, it started with your pops. Your mom, great. She probably did everything right, but it started with, you know what I'm saying, that discipline. That you saving your life, make sure you wasn't a street nigga, make sure all those things, that's your pops. That's that discipline that kept you in the gym, kept you great. So yeah, that's a beautiful thing to see, you know what I'm saying too. And I hope people do I hope one day I'm a father and I can experience it from a father's standpoint to my child, because I'll never experience a father looking over me, you know what I mean? I don't know what that feel like. I have no idea what a father's love or protection, I don't know. None of that feels like. So shout out to Jordan. This was a very unique moment for me.
Months and a stint in minor league baseball later, and the itch for the game became too strong. So Jordan released arguably the most famous two-word press release of all time.
It came in a two-word statement, which is now just begging to have a Nike campaign built around it. Quote unquote, "I'm back."
And it didn't take Jordan too much time to show that he was still the god of basketball. In just the 5th game after his return, he poured in 55 points against the Knicks in the infamous double nickel game. But overall, MJ struggled with his shot, shooting a career-low 41% from the field. And it turned out that playing baseball for a year and a half took a bite out of his greatness. Even the best players need to practice.
So, we have to ask, where'd you get your nickname Sauce?
My best friend gave me the nickname when I was a kid, and it just...
And in the second round of the playoffs against Orlando, things didn't go according to plan. Even though Michael averaged 31 points on 48% shooting, the Bulls weren't as strong inside. Horace Grant, who used to be their starting power forward, was now playing for Orlando. And together with a young Shaq, the Magic simply outmuscled the Bulls in the paint. Many people will say the Bulls lost in '95 because Jordan wasn't in peak form after his baseball hiatus. And there is some truth to that. But Jordan actually averaged his usual numbers. Really, basketball is just a team sport. And they lost because Orlando was much bigger and deeper than them. Thankfully, the Bulls management knew that too.
Last week, the Bulls announced the acquisition of a player many people consider the most controversial basketball star in the NBA.
They added Dennis Rodman to the team, the best rebounder of all time, and one of the fiercest defensive players ever.
I don't care. Whatever. What's up?
A year before, they also added Steve Kerr, the most accurate three-point shooter ever. And together with a defensive dog, Ron Harper, and Tony Kukoc, who was the most versatile power forward in the NBA, MJ had the best supporting cast in the league. In the 1996 season, the Bulls were so good that they became only the second team in NBA history to lead the NBA in offensive and defensive rating. And their plus 13.4 net rating is still the best ever. Their 72-10 record was the best of all time, and, of course, Jordan won an MVP, averaging...
Did Steph and them break that? I thought, yeah, 73-9, right? I think Steph and them broke that, but they lost the finals.
36-4. As for the playoffs, there was no stopping the Bulls. Only the Sonics in the finals showed any kind of resistance, and Gary Payton was the first defender to have slowed down Michael, but he couldn't beat him, and Chicago won their fourth title, with Michael crying his guts out in the locker room because it was the first championship he won without his father.
I know he's watching. This is for Daddy. I'm very happy for him.
He's a voice of reason that always drove and challenged me. That's the type of father I have. Yeah, like a friend.
Yeah,
and
like
when the 1997...
I really believe MJ is MJ because of his dad. Because having a great figure in his life. You know what I'm saying, too? So he didn't have to dig from anywhere else. He had his brother and his dad. And you just take from there. And just he said he was a reason. He had a voice of reason, but he challenged me. Like, he never disrespected me, called me a bum, but he challenged me. He made sure I was going to get better. And he was a voice of reason. He was very calm. Yo, that's dope right there. To hear about MJ's dad, we need to learn more about MJ's dad, like, cause he is the story. He's the start of why MJ became MJ. The motivation behind it and shit like that. And then the rings after he died, you know MJ wasn't playing. He like, I'm going.
Season started, the Bulls continued to rule the NBA. With 4 Hall of Famers, the most accurate three-point shooter of all time, and other excellent role players, no team could match up with Chicago. Running the triangle like a well-oiled machine, the Bulls dominated the regular season with 69 wins, and getting to the finals seemed like a walk in the park, as they only lost 2 games in 3 playoff series. But in the finals, it wasn't that easy, because they played the formidable duo of Stockton and Malone and the Utah Jazz. This series would be remembered by the infamous flu game, where Jordan suffered from food poisoning and had a fever before the pivotal Game 5 when the series was tied. But Jordan played through the illness and managed to squeeze every atom of strength to score 38 points, and the Bulls won, 90-88. In Game 6, Jordan trusted Steve Kerr with the final shot, and Kerr hit a jumper for the win in the final seconds. However, when the 1998 season started, the Bulls were running on fumes. Pippen had injury problems and disputes with management, and Rodman was more reckless than ever. But they still had Michael. Even though he wasn't as athletic as before and his efficiency decreased, Jordan was still capable of winning games by himself. The Bulls finished with 62 wins despite Pippen missing half the season, and that's why Jordan was named NBA MVP for the 5th time. In the playoffs, the Bulls survived the Indiana Pacers in the Eastern Finals, winning Game 7 by 5 points. And then, in the finals, Utah awaited again, hungrier than ever. In a tough defensive series where neither team scored 100 points, Jordan proved his clutch factor once again, hitting arguably the most famous shot in NBA history over Byron Russell.
Open. Chicago with the
What
lead.
y'all haven't? The only person I've seen with more replays is the Brown block. But besides that, this is probably the greatest shot in any sport. Because you don't recall MLB, boxing, any sport. You don't recall that moment like you recall this moment. And I wasn't even born. Was I born? I probably was born, but I was little as hell. And at that point, you know what I'm saying? To know like this is probably the most iconic picture shot in moment in basketball and in sports history. I mean, this is his last shot as a champion.
6 championships in 8 years, with 6 awards for the Finals MVP, and Jordan achieved basketball immortality.
And if this is the final chapter, what a way to close the book.
After 1998, Jordan retired for the second time, which was the end of his prime, and we can sum up his career with the Bulls in 3 parts. The first part being between 1984 and 1990, when he was easy.
All right, we're not going to sum up anything because I'm going to do the summary. He the GOAT, man. The Black Kryptonian himself is the GOAT. It just shows through this story, and every story I watch at MJ, and some shit I learned that I didn't know. Like, he was so dominant. He was actually dominant in high school after he got a chance to play. Then he went to college. Dean Smith turned him down a little bit. He came into the NBA dominant as hell. Like, dominant as hell. And then, after he would become dominant, people would say, yo, he's selfish and all these things. But they didn't take in consideration you need talent to win championships. The moment he got the talent, it was history. So, I enjoyed this video. Hopefully you enjoyed all my rants. I paused like 1,000 times, and I usually don't do that. But I enjoyed the video. A lot of aspects. We learned about Michael Jordan's dad and like how impactful having a good father to greatness. You to be the GOAT, you gotta have a father that look out for you in that type of way. You know what I'm saying? Have that intention for you to be great and challenge you. So shout out to MJ's pops. RIP to him. Shout out to MJ. And till next time. Oh yeah, 500 likes is the goal. If you love MJ, you might as well hit that goal with me. Hit the thumbs up.